Okay, you lot, I'm far too good to you. I really am. Whilst at the 5K, last week, we managed to grab hold of Mr. Giles Chatter, who only happens to be the Managing Director of Tough Mudder Europe. Got hold of him, sat him down, had a nice chat, and we learned some juicy stuff about what's coming next year. I'm going to shut the hell up and I'm going to let you watch this interview. I hope you find it as interesting as I did. Before I do though, I'm just going to say thanks to Mr. Giles Chatter for being so incredibly gracious. He could smell the amateur coming off me a mile away, but he didn't give it away. He was incredibly gracious and I'll be forever grateful for that. So thanks Giles, thanks Matt for the opportunity. Enjoy this clip, guys. So, Giles, first 5K in a stadium. Excited?
Very much so. It's been great to be here and great to watch everybody enjoying what we put on.
Yeah. So, is this an expansion of the whole 5K program? Become much more of a staple, a stadium event as part of the 5K?
I think the 5K Urban program definitely needs a couple of new iterations. I think we're going to see more of an urban series. I think we're going to see us really embracing some of the non-greenfield elements that we could get people into, and then using that to expand distance and difficulty and some of the other stuff that I think is currently missing or currently being asked for.
Yeah, because it is a big ask to put a full 8 to 12 mile classic event on with everything else. We could see a separate division of Tough Mudder, so we could have a couple, maybe a dozen events that are complete as opposed to the same people, or a separate division breaking off for the 5K.
Yes, I think we're definitely going to see the our core series, which is described about the Tough Mudder weekend, which is those muddy, iconic venues out and about, sometimes a long way out and about. Although London West is near London, I promise. And then an urban series, and I think if we really embrace the urban, and we potentially move away from some of the nearest piece of grass to a city, we could actually get stuff even closer, make it more accessible, get more people down, and put people into some really interesting urban environments. So
that's a good point, because you are quite lucky here, because you've not just got the stadium. As we talked earlier, you're not running around roads, you're not on paths, you've actually got the access to the training grounds, and some of the grounds are lovely. Has that been different logistical issues? Is that... How happy are the groundsmen?
I tell you what, the first thing I did when I came here on Friday is I went straight to the groundsman. I was like,
because it's an elite stadium. It's not. This isn't a tuppenny stadium. This is elite sports, guys.
And even more so. So we love the team here, and actually the chief exec Mark Darban is an ex Tough Mudder employee. He used to run our operations over in the US. So they've been amazing to work with. But they have one of the only all natural grass pitches in the league. And they are very sensitive about that, as you can imagine. And there's an irrigation system about 30 centimetres under the deck. And so every time they saw someone holding a hammer, they're like, they better not be for a peg. But no, it's been great. And I also think the groundsman will be relieved when it's just back to watering the grass for rugby.
Well, I'm impressed that that's the case, considering you've managed to get some of the larger obstacles up. Everest, and of course the Whopper. With the new sponsorship with Burger King Whopper. I'm impressed you've managed to get them in at all and not been able to nail them down, and how sturdy they are.
A lot of handballing, all of that stuff needed carrying in, no vehicles onto the grass. You will have seen we then had to use ballast rather than pegs, which is a little bit different, and that's why the structures in some of these are a little bit different. But actually, it's been a pleasure working in this kind of environment as opposed to the full greenfield site where invariably we're dealing with stock vehicles and mud everywhere and just, yes, all of the chaos.
And just being able to pop to the shop.
Yes, not having to chase any sheep.
No bulls like we did at Europe last year.
Exactly. So, different kind of problems or challenges, but it's been a pleasure working with the team here.
But to the event itself, how brilliant has the atmosphere been? Because I can just walking on, I've done a 5K before, and we did the Olympic Stadium last year, and that was good. But the actual physical coming through onto the stadium, that was incredible. And so the atmosphere is fantastic.
Yeah, we're super pleased with it. It was great to see people sit in the stands. It was great to be able to give the participants the ability to run through the players' tunnel as they're coming into the finish, and so get into parts of the stadium you wouldn't otherwise. And I don't think many people get to just lie on the grass in a Premiership Rugby Stadium or similar and then also enjoy that Tough Mudder environment. So we're really pleased with how that panned out.
It was nice to get to the top at the bear crawl and just stop, take a second and be impressed with the fact that you used the steps as a bear crawl. Kudos, love that. And be able to just look around and think, I'm in a Premiership stadium. How cool is that? So have you had quite a lot of people just come up and just, locals, just go, I can't believe I'm studying, never mind doing the Tough Mudder?
I think a little bit, actually. One of the things I heard quite consistently is people saying, oh, I know it was a stadium run, but I didn't realise you'd actually let us into the stadium. So I think so many stadium runs are running around the stadium, in the car park, or maybe you're into the concourses, but it's not all that often you're actually allowed onto the pitch. So there was more surprise than anything else, like, oh, no way, we're actually here in the midst of it. That's cool.
That is cool. Moving away from the 5k though, Tough Mudder this year, big changes, 2019. Got to say, Europe's last month, knocked it out the park.
Thank you.
What kind of feedback have you had from the changes that we've made? It was nice to see the boss there as well, which was excellent, to get my medal from the boss. That was nice. Do you find that approach is helping, because you guys are a little bit more hands-on as opposed to, you being able to get closer to the competitors?
Yes, and actually that's a massive point. I'd like to touch on a couple of things. The team at Tough Mudder work incredibly hard, and we've had a lot to do getting all the new 10 new obstacles and the other changes across the line. And we know that we deliver these life-changing experiences, but sometimes the team are working so hard in the background they don't necessarily see that. And as we've brought that team back out and they're speaking to the customers and they're really seeing those moments of magic, it's empowering and energizing, and it's allowing us to get a lot more done. I think the other really valuable piece from our perspective, which then pays back off to the customers, is as you spend that much more time with a customer and you get the nuanced, detailed feedback, we're now able to deliver everything that we had in our vision, as well as all those things that we hadn't necessarily thought of that really allow us to delight customers. We truly are better together, and I cringe, that was a very American thing to say, but I think we're seeing that, and the speed at which we're iterating on the ground is a reflection of what we're doing there.
No, it's definitely visible. And it's nice to see a lot more of the team, but I suppose it's a big reward for the team who's been working incredibly hard during the weekend, and then to have those, be able to get out front and have those moments with the customers. Do you find as though that's helping your team as well?
Definitely. There are a lot of people who've created this magic over the years who haven't necessarily been, they've not had a face, and they can now be the face of Tough Mudder and get some of the recognition that they deserve, and that encouragement for their hard work direct from the customers, which is really motivating. We love hearing where we can be better, and we want our customers to continue feedback, but we also we need a hug and a pat on the back and the appreciation as much as everybody else does. But
no, the changes have definitely been positive from a customer point of view. Obviously it's still a work in progress, and we're aware of that. The loop system, good to know the feedback. To be honest, I didn't have a problem with that. I think it was our friends across the pond had more of an issue with the loop system, bless them. So what can we see over the next 8 to 12 months then?
Oh, so much. I'm going to drop the big tease and go no further. It's obviously 10 years of Tough Mudder next year.
Of course.
So I think you should expect some excitement there. Do not miss putting Midlands in your diary for next year if that's not already on your diary. And if you've not booked the whole weekend out for that, make sure you block the whole weekend out.
Really?
I think as you move through the rest of the year, we're going to see a lot of changes in the level up. We've got a lot of ideas of fairly small nuanced stuff that we can start to put out to make that quite exciting. Unfortunately, a couple of the ambassadors have whinged about Devil's Beard, so that's got longer, so look out for that.
Well, be careful what you wish for. We said there's been so many people saying how terrible Devil's Beard is and what a pointless obstacle it is, and I've been saying all winter, I've been saying careful, if you poke the bear.
Oh, and it's ravenous and it's coming out, and until there are people bypassing Devil's Beard because it's too challenging, we are not going to stop. So look for that bypass in Scotland. You're also going to start to see some new obstacles. We've talked about this idea that we're not just going to have obstacle innovation once a year. Yay, it's January, they talked about 10 new obstacles and we'll see them, and it's going to be the same all season. So I think Scotland will be the end of that kind of phase one where we really tweak up what we have, and then the next couple of events after that, you should expect to see some of what you've seen disappear,
right. Yorkshire
and some
North
new
West,
stuff,
good stuff.
Turn up.
Excited about those. And I'm going to ask it, big one, King of the Swingers.
Oh, we're going to see King of the Swingers back this year. Maybe. Will we see something of that scale? I'd look out for something like that at London South. Could we see an actual King of the Swingers come back? Yeah, I'd be quietly optimistic about that kind of thing making an appearance in Midlands or something else. So, you know, I'd love to celebrate. So.
I think we've talked with an obstacle racing media quite a lot with other when we've interviewed competitors, and they've admitted and they've said, oh, Tough Mudder, they do the big iconic obstacles. But I know kind of last year that was scaled down, and it's good to know that Tough Mudder's going to go, no, we're going to put the biggest, we're going to go hardcore again, and we're going to really push it. And we've seen a difference, and that's really good to know.
And we definitely want to keep that part of that. We're going back to our roots, and some of that cold was in those just fantastical obstacles.
So a lot of had the psychological effect. It's all well and good, you know, and I'm not going to say anything about the other events, but personally, I'm not a massive fan of doing farmyard chores for 3 miles. But but the psychological edge, Tough Mudder always had that. Being on a 15-foot, 20-foot platform, doing something that you think, oh my word, this is genuinely scary, as opposed to this is physically demanding. Tough Mudder always had that.
And we don't want to lose that, and in fact we want to capture a little bit more, but, and I think I was chatting about this with the ambassadors the other day, what we need to do is we need to get the big impressive stuff, and we need to get the balance as well.
Okay.
We want to make sure that we don't have big obstacles at the cost of many obstacles. We also want to make sure, as we bring new people in, that if we are having bigger impressive obstacles, they're not ring-fenced by, you know, a particular capability. You can't necessarily only enjoy them if you have, like, significant upper body strength.
Yep.
And so I think something like Matterhorn, it's impressive, it doesn't necessarily look, and you get to the top and you're like, whoa, it's pretty cool. But actually anybody can do it.
Yep.
And I think that's super cool. And if you look at what we're doing with Funky Monkey as well, we've got something that is still really challenging, especially if you level up, but most people should be able to get at least halfway through, and the introduction of those lollipops and some of that fun, maybe it's a bit more about agility as opposed to just outright strength, I think is allowing that iconic, that investment in great obstacles to be experienced by more people. But if you're sitting there thinking, well, it's becoming a bit easy, by the end of the season, if you're getting around all of our level ups, I'll be surprised.
Looking forward to the exciting stuff to come. That's brilliant. Giles, thank you very much for your time. I've had a cracking weekend. Managed to get on twice. Great course. And we shall see you at Scotland, sir.
My absolute pleasure. You will
Thank
see
you
me
very
there.
much. See you in Scotland. Cheers, Giles. That's pretty much it from me. As I'm sure you'll agree, loads to look forward to and some pretty exciting news, especially here in the UK with Tough Mudder reaching the 10-year mark. Can't wait. Really just leaves it for me to say thank you very much to all the TMHQ guys. Thanks for Giles for looking after us. Thanks for Chris for helping me out. Couldn't have done it without you. And I thoroughly enjoyed it. Thanks, Matt. Can't wait for the next one. Cheers, guys. Peace and love.